in that respect.
And man, and like one of the things that I'm really excited about, I want to get into how high you can rank Dalton Kincaid, and I
Mm,
want to get into the value of guys like Anthony Richardson and Michael Mayer and Sam
mhm,
Laporta, even in single QB leagues, because it's a really strong tight end class. It's a really strong quarterback class.
mhm.
I'm not necessarily in the market for guys like that, but I mean, you can't ignore them just because of that.
I, I so tell me before I start, tell me your stance on Michael Mayer now that he landed where he
Okay,
landed.
okay, so he goes to Vegas, right?
Mhm.
Um, which no Darren Waller, obviously. So it's a vacant tight end room. But I mean, come on, man. We got who throwing the ball? Jimmy G for the next 4 years, um, or 3 years. I'm not really inspired by that. We know that Devontae Adams is gonna get his while he can, um, while he's still relevant. Um, you're not drafting tight ends ideally to contribute year one, and he's not gonna be the guy. I don't think. Um, I mean, he didn't get as much draft capital as we thought, and it's not a great landing spot. I mean, like I suppose it's a decent landing spot, and that he could play from day one. Um, I mean, I
That's
think it's going to be him and Foster Monroe, right?
that's the basis of my argument that it's the best landing spot
Yeah,
because it's the Josh McDaniels offense that gave us Gronk.
yeah. I mean, I didn't.
So
Oh, yeah, I didn't think about that.
so if he if that's the role, like ideally that's the role is the Gronk role in the Patriots offense.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think that that's a valuable role. Now,
Yeah.
whether he becomes that in year one, that's probably not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the path is there, and I think getting him, like, let's see, he just went at the 2-2 in my league,
Mm-hmm. I
and
see him going like at the turn usually.
that's a super flex league, and that's also tight end premium where we start two tight ends, so it's
Hmm.
like double premium in a way.
Where did
um,
Kincaid go there?
he went at the 111.
Wow, that. There's not enough discrepancy between those guys, in my opinion.
No,
Cause my whole thing was if he was gonna get um first round draft capital and some team was gonna show like that sort of investment in him, um, and then like let's say Vegas spends a first round pick on him, then I'm like, oh, like great, sure thing. Um, but like there's more exciting landing spots. Like if he would have went to Detroit, that's better. You know what I mean? Like Sam Laporta, I feel
mhm.
like there's more upside in that offense. There's more cake to eat, and I mean, like at the end of the day, these tight ends aren't going to be relevant for 2 to 3 years, um, if at all, because they just don't produce in year one. But
Mhm.
um, I mean,
Well,
there,
let's put some perspective on that. There was Trey McBride, who was a consensus number one tight end from
mhm.
last season. Do you have any idea where he would fall in this class?
Oh man,
Would he be behind Mayer?
I feel like he'd be tight end 2 or 3.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
just behind Laporta, and that's it.
I mean, but didn't he get second round draft capital? So maybe the NFL is telling us that, like, I think he went 55th overall, if I'm not mistaken. That's just off the top of my head.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I just think
Cause
it's
like,
such a tough position to translate, and it
mhm,
takes time in general. And like a guy like Hawkinson, who's kind of like been rather relevant since he entered the league, is pretty rare.
mhm,
There's guys who came in the league and have been relevant for a season or two randomly out of like a couple, but Hawkinson's been rather consistent since he entered the league.
mhm,
He's yet to be transcendent in any way, but he's there doing something.
mhm.
Andrews. I guess would be another one, and that maybe at an even higher level that people didn't really see coming.
I feel like Travis Kelce was like that to a degree. I mean, didn't he not produce in his first couple seasons, or am I bugging?
No, it's well, he would be different. Because he didn't, right? It took him time to really come on, but then
Yeah.
when he did, he was amazing.
Mm,
So yeah, I mean, that's the thing is like tight end is so hard. Like just, to me, it's just like why bother wasting the draft pick that could just as easily bust.
yeah.
Um, give me the guys that you can pick up off the wire. Like I picked up
Hmm.
Isaiah Likely is my tight end too in this super flex tight end premium league, and I picked him up off waivers before week 1 last season. And there's going to be another tight end that I can pick up for free um, this season. And I have a few guys like young guys that are who knows what'll happen, but
Right. And I mean, that's why I'm generally out on these guys because we talk about this all the time.
hmm
I'll spend a third or fourth round pick on an athletic tight end, and I'm so glad Zach Kuntz got some draft capital. Zach Kuntz,
hmm
because he's kind of a go-to guy this year. But there's, I mean, like Darnell Washington will probably fall. Like he's not a bad flyer. Um, and I mean that's a whole different debate. Talking
I
about
think
fire me.
he's definitely going to fall, and the argument is going to be he's just going to be a blocker. Every argument goes against Darnell other than draft capital for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it goes against him being a productive fantasy asset, anyways, which is
Mm-hmm.
like good for us right now because we want him to kind of not do anything for a year or two, and then we can pick him up for free on waivers,
Break out.
and then he'll break out later when he's like 28.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, man, like I think Kincaid should have some serious consideration to be a top
Let's
6 to 8 pick, but I think these
you,
guys are a lot lower than him.
you know who like this is all reminding me too of like a David Njoku situation, who's like super athletic coming out of college, had like pretty good production in college too, and then in the NFL, it's like every year we're waiting for him to do something, and then like he always has like a glimmer of opportunity, and it just kind of never comes, even though he's like, if he was just like fed the ball, good things would happen.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think that's what we're doing with all of these tight ends in rookie draft season is we're Njokuing them
That makes sense to me. Yeah.
because
And
we can dream, we can hope, we can wish, but you know, there's only one Travis Kelsey, and nobody is going to be putting up the points that he does. And there's always going to be that huge gap until two, and it's going to make everybody else seem like caca, and it's just going to be the same thing over and over again until he retires. Um, and
we've
then
been
it's just
saying
going to be
this.
a big cesspool of nothing,
Mm-hmm. Which
or
is
of
just
mediocre fantasy output, where it's just going to get dissolved into the flex position or something.
so sad.
Um,
Post tight end Travis Kelsey is going to be a scary world.
it is post-apocalyptic for sure. Uh,
But some of these people
but,
had the balls to rank Kyle Pitts as the dynasty tight end one at some point.
I mean, in a way, he is. Like on paper, right? On paper,
Right.
he is.
But he's not
But
winning you games, bro. Like,
it's just like there's also like the reality of football games that have to happen. It's like we can
mm-hmm.
project players based on physical tools is until we're blue in the face, but it doesn't always translate to the field
Mm-hmm.
because of countless factors, particularly coaching. So, I mean, I just it's so funny. It's like tight end is like for me, it's like a black hole. in the draft that all
Hmm.
of like I let all of my league mates like get sucked into, and
Yeah.
I try my it's so tempting, right? It's tempting,
Yeah.
and that's the trap is the temptation, but you got to avoid it. Just let someone else do it, and then draft another running back, and then when they quadruple in value, you can find a tight end in a package that you're trading them away with.
Hmm. And man, like there's so many of these prospective guys. That tweet that Attack doing, someone had Dalton Kincaid ranked as tight end 8 and Chig as tight end 9. I think that's preposterous. I mean, that's just preposterous.
It is.
And I know I've brought up Dalton Kincaid like 3 times now, but I say that because I think he has a serious case to be the 5th player off the board in non-superflex leagues, especially tight end premium. After JSN and QJ at receiver, and then obviously the 2 running backs. I mean, I'm generally not a proponent for spending up a tight end at all, but I just think that, like, given the situation and the lack of a wide receiver 2, this is the best tight end landing spot in the NFL, and he gets first round draft capital. He's tied to Josh Allen, especially for immediate success. I mean,
And until I see it, because I'm not going to say it's impossible, but until I see it, it's like the picture that you can paint yourself is going to be better than any real life result.
hmm and that is it, how I look at tight end usually, and to me, it is those 4 players in non-superflex leagues at like a tier of their own. Because Jordan Addison, Zay Flowers, Zach Charbonnet, Dalton Kincaid. I mean, you can even make the case for guys like Achane, Mingo, uh, Rice. Like they're all kind of the same for me. I mean, like I'd rather have Addison and Flowers than I guess those like bottom receivers, but that middle part of the draft is all kind of a mess for me. Um, so like if you're looking at Kincaid very optimistically, I could see him as high as that, but I could also see you taking Addison, Flowers, Charbonnet, Achane, like these guys over him for sure. Um, I just think there's some very real intriguing upside in a guy like Kincaid because he checks the boxes that I want to see. Um, and I'm pushing everybody else way down. Like I wouldn't take any other tight end until probably like the late second or third round. I mean, like you were saying, I don't even like really put him on my draft board because as long as I have a tight end for next season, like I'm just gonna punt it, you know? Because if I
Hmm.
don't have, because if I don't have Travis Kelce, man, like it's it's not worth it. So I'm rolling with Waller in this league, and I hope he's good enough. And if he's not, I mean, what am I gonna do? You, you can't do much.
There's not a lot. There's you got to play the waiver wire. You got to keep your ear to the ground when it comes to um, snap counts and opportunities shared and all that kind of stuff
Hmm.
early on in the season, and then yeah, what got to listen to what's going on in practice and stuff and training camp. But if you don't want to spend up on the Laportas and the Mayers and the Kincaids, which guys would you want to target late in a draft with like a dart throw, like in the 4th round?
I mean, if like this isn't a 4th round guy, but if you can get a share of Musgrave, late, and he might even get drafted down because, or like dropped down because the Packers also took Tyler Kraft. But Musgrave was the one guy like early in the process where I was like, yo, this guy is super athletic, huge upside, and he gets decent draft capital. I mean 2nd round. Um, I like him a lot. I'm not a huge fan of Will Mallory or Latu. I'm more of a Jelani Woods fan. So but Mallory did look athletic. Um, but I mean, if it's a really if it's a real dart throw rather, um, obviously my guy Zach Kuntz, he goes to the Jets. Uh, maybe Aaron Rodgers takes an affinity to him. I mean, there's not a whole lot of weapons in New York right now. So, I mean, those are kind of my guys at first glance. Do you have any names in that range?
The Payne Durham. Remember we
Mm-hmm.
talked about him in our last episode, and
Tampa Bay, right?
yes, he landed in Tampa Bay, which I like because the other guys are aging out. The Cameron Brate aging out.
Mm-hmm.
Gronk already left. Who was the other guy they had there? Then they had the young kid K. Dot, and then
OJ
now
Howard.
OJ Howard had already left, right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they had one other guy, but but yeah. So he lands there with basically a guy who was a rookie last year in K. Dot, and then a guy I had never heard of.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's just an opportunity for him as a good athlete and a receiving profile to kind of land a receiving role in a ambiguous offense. So he's one that you might not even have to draft. You could probably pick him up for free.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have a late pick and don't know what to do with it, he's a good flyer in my opinion. Because of situation
I
and
agree.
and his profile. So you combine the two things, and hopefully some opportunity comes.
Here's there's a tier of guys that I just have no interest in.
Hmm.
Brenton Strange, Luke Schoonmaker, uh,
Yeah.
Tyler Kraft, Will Mallory, Latu, those guys, no interest in. But
No.
give me Durham, give me Kuntz, and then Laporta, Musgrave, Washington.
Yeah.
Those are kind of the guys past the top ones that we're interested in, I would say.
Yeah.
Stamp of approval for the pod. So,
For sure. Washington is one like he's just like kind of a game changer when it comes to being on the football field.
mm-hmm.
He just is he's gonna be on the field a lot, and maybe that's gonna be a lot of blocking this year. Maybe it's gonna be a lot of blocking next year, but like I don't know. I just think he's gonna have a really long career, and the potential for him to grow into something more than a blocker is uh, is worth taking a flyer on.
Mm-hmm. And we can always sign off on something like that because we're always in there for some Pat Freiermuth slander at the end of the day.
Well,
And
I
if,
mean, he'll run circles around Pat.
oh yeah, I mean, Pat's slow, you know, other words to describe slow.
That was what my thinking is when they get on the field together and they're at practice and stuff. He's just gonna like he's gonna blow Fryermuth away in everything in every drill
Pancakes,
and pancakes for
mm,
sure.
dude. I mean, yeah, and he's really exciting. I know Pittsburgh fans like Freiermuth.